Hold it in, Steiner. Hold it in.
Kodober was probably one of the grossest ones for this show.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just gonna check to see if this is any more of Toei's blatant product placement.
The actual opening featured a few changes at the end, where we got to see their new Patorain forms in some nice sequences before ending the same way as the previous version, though with their new outfits that really made Pop stand out as the only one who is still a trainee. Oof. On that note, the episode proper opened with Ojamajo relaxing after the Oyashi incident with some window shopping. However, beyond one window was Kotake looking at a poster for a children's sumo tournament.
Because of course they'd announce the next game before the sixth one is even out. Actually, that's not too far from the truth.
Of course, he wanted to win the contest, which, like a few Capcom fighters, required a team of 3. So he enlisted his buddy Kimura and later the spotlight character of this episode, Susumu.
Get it?
Yanagida. Now, previously, during the Majouka arc, he made the monkey paw wish of being able to eat all the fried bread he could possibly want, but then quickly realized that eating the same thing over and over was not only unhealthy, but also got tiring. Well, just forget that good lesson of the day, as he was back to scarfing down these oily mounds of carbs like they were Tic Tacs. In fact, Kotake and Kimura managed to convince him to join their team by promising that they'd give him their bread.
Yeah, I can already tell I'm not gonna like this episode.
Later, on our way to her next gig, Oppu saw the boys practicing, and Yanagida wasn't doing so great. And you know, I like this aspect of the episode, showing that while he did have the objective weight advantage, Yanagida was simply not good at sports. He lacked the needed stamina, the proper stance and form, and most importantly, the motivation. Just being strung along by food wasn't giving him any truly personal reason to want to win the sumo tournament. Yanagida needed something to light a fire in him, and unfortunately, it seemed like it was going to come from the paparazzi and her crew. Yes, unfortunately, we got some bad jokes from the Stooges, and Reika kind of reverting back to her old bullying ways. This, of course, included delivering some low blows, like implying Yanagida would be better suited for an eating contest than any athletics, which the kid ended up hearing.
Okay, this seems like a good moment. That could lead to a strong message about not making fun of other people's weight and... Steiner!
He's fat!
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this was the exact moment I kind of turned against this episode. I mean, I think I get what they were trying to do here by saying that Yanagida was perfectly fine with his weight, as he should be. Until they get older, kids shouldn't have to worry about their weight unless the doctor says otherwise. However, I'm not okay with this response, which is just kind of your typical fat kid joke, like, haha, look at Tubby here, who can only think about food all the time, haha.
It's a bad case, for lack of a better term, trying to have your cake and eat it too.
They're trying to do a body positivity message, and yet they're still treating Yanagida's weight and addiction to fried bread as a joke. Like, why not, after hearing what Reika said, just have him quietly sit down in his seat, giving the initial impression that he was upset by her comments, but then you could later reveal that he didn't mind them and was just kind of tuning them out. Wouldn't that leave a stronger impression and give a more positive message to kids who are bullied over their weight?
As is, it just kind of mellows any message they were going for and kind of kills the episode for me.
I will give it this, it did lead to a good exchange with Kotake getting upset on Yanagida's behalf, who again didn't mind it. It was a good, amiable showing for him, as while unnecessary and kind of protrusive, he did also clearly care about his classmate being made fun of. And in response, Yanagida was able to show that he does have the right mindset of not even being concerned about his weight. Again, I just wish they had cut back on the fat jokes, which unfortunately there were more to come. Anyway, to help with their trade, the Ojamajo decided to use the magical stage to make some sumo wrestlers appear. Yeah, it's a little detail, but I really like that they didn't even bring up the Patorain here, as they are meant to be super modes for emergencies only, so this makes them feel a little more special. However, I kind of wish they had used them, if only to spare us from this. I mean, I get that they're at least wearing sumo bodysuits, but they also seem to have packed on a few pounds and are a lot bigger, and you know what, I just saw some tentacle hentai pre-cured the other day. Let's just admit that Toy has a lot of perverts and move on. So they help Yanagida with his training, and by help I mean chased him around, which I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to do in sumo wrestling without getting a ring out, and him just lucking his way into getting a few wins over them. I mean, I guess they were trying to instill some confidence into the kid, but overall, this is all kinds of silly and pointless, which, you know, is kind of an apt description of this episode as a whole. It didn't really help Yanagida, though it did at least have Kotake fully change his tune on his classmate, who he did mostly see as a pawn for his own greedy endeavors. Well, may as well forget that good bit of character development, as we just had to move on to another fat kid joke. The day of the tournament arrived, with the setup being your basic best 2 out of 3 matches, and Yanagida proved to be his team's MVP by seemingly getting them a win every round until they reached the finals. And not because he had gained any sort of confidence or strong sense of camaraderie with his teammates, but again because of that oily bread that seemed to be an additional prize along with the game. However, while they managed to make it to the finals and Yanagida won his match, Kotake and Kimura both lost theirs. Fortunately, at least for one of them, the year's supply of bread was actually the runner-up prize. With that, the episode ended with Yanagida declaring that he wouldn't pursue sumo wrestling, but rather baking, just so that he could sample his own goods every day.
No, sir, I didn't like this one.
I swear, this has to be one of the most bipolar shows I've ever watched. We went from the highs of the previous episode's Wizard's World's intro arc to this meaningless filler episode.
To be fair, I did kind of need a more brainless episode after finishing up some bigger projects for this channel. I just kind of wish I didn't have to completely turn off my brain.
There was just no real point to this episode. I mean, I'm not saying every episode has to be attached to the overarching plot of the show. That would be ridiculous, hence why at least a little filler is required. However, just like that bread that Yanagida gorges on, after a while it becomes unhealthy and detrimental to the longevity of the show, especially when it lacks nutrients, or in this case, any sort of strong thesis. Like, what even was the moral of this episode? Certainly wasn't healthy eating, going by how Yanagida was probably going to eat that year's worth of fried bread in one day. And no, I don't feel guilty about making fat jokes when the episode clearly didn't either. In spite of them clearly framing Reika's bullying as something bad, they just kept on piling on with that punchline that the only thought in this kid's head was eating more of his disgustingly brown bread. Now, if they were trying to do a body positivity message about Yanagida being comfortable with his weight, that would actually be pretty great. But the character himself didn't have any other distinguishing traits, so it's hard to tell if that's what they were really going for, and even if it was, it's hard to get attached to such a one-note character. Said one note that they just kept on going on and on about was that he's fat! Thus, any message they tried to deliver was muddled by what quickly became a very repetitive joke. Hell, even the Ojamajo couldn't add much beyond just some of their plain weird antics with their sumo outfits and expansion. The only character who added any sort of substance was Kotake, going from a manipulative little brat to getting upset on his teammates' behalf when they were making fun of him. At least he tried to give this episode something to work with, but ultimately I'd say it was all for naught, because overall, this is just an entirely skippable episode, especially with the next one just getting us right back into the Wizard's World stuff. Between this kid and Yui Nagomi, Toei really needs to promote some healthier eating habits.
With that though, we're going to get back to work on the second part of that Fadai review, which thanks to the current season seems even more relevant than ever.
Of course, we're probably going to cover one of the more interesting parts of the OG, both in terms of the story and some of the behind the scenes stuff. Also, with us having recently completed reviewing Powerpuff Girls Z, look forward to a new series of reviews starting next week.
So look forward to all of that, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and hey Honda, could you not do your stomping here? Also, stop throwing salt all over the place.